You're now listening to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Straightforward, no nonsense business advice. Completely unfiltered. Grow your business. Grow your life. Now, here's your host, Brian Fullerton.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. It is your host, Brian Fullerton, here hanging with you guys, and good morning. Really excited about sharing this podcast episode with you guys. This is a replay that we're going to be sharing from Lawntrepreneur Academy Live 2024, which, by the way, a lot of you guys have been asking, when is the replay from this last fall's conference going to be coming down the pike? We are rapidly putting that together behind the scenes and should have that replay available for you guys here in the next couple of weeks. Really excited about that. And give you guys some homework and some motivation, some inspiration, some education, to be honest with you, with some information that you guys can use to apply to grow your business as you guys look to make those final touches as we get ready for the spring rush of 2024. One of the crowd favorites, one of the, just men in the arena, one of the great guys that we had to share at this year's conference was Sam Gembel. A lot of you guys know Sam and have seen him pop up around the country. He's on the circuit. He is speaking and doing engagements all over the place. And frankly, if you do get a chance to, sit at his, feet, if you will, and learn from what he's got going on with Atlas Outdoor over in Flint, Michigan, I highly encourage you guys to get around the guy. He has got the smoke of battle all over him. He's got the John Maxwell, leadership gene and responsibility gene, if you will. The dude's grown upwards of a $9 to $10 million landscape company in the last decade or so. Got a great group of guys, over 100 employees working over there, and they just have it going on. Here's what I just want to say really quick, short and sweet. Little introduction here. We'll kick it over to Sam's speech and replay. This guy's got it going on. I really encourage you guys to hear what he has to say about growing a business, working on the business, not just in the business, and some practical takeaways on how he was able to scale upwards of $1 million per year in revenue growth for about 5 years in a row. Okay. So there's a lot to take in on this talk. It's short, it's sweet. Sam just cut the mustard, man. It was late in the afternoon. 6 or 7 other people had already shared and spoke. And Sam was like, look, I'm taking the gloves off. It's late in the afternoon. The crowd was charged up, fired up. We had about 400 people there. That's at our live conference that we do every November, which, by the way, you want to save the date, November 2nd, Saturday this year, is going to be LAL 2024. But at this time of the day, Sam was like, put me in, coach. I'm ready to rock and roll. So he took the boxing gloves off and he just started smacking the crowd up, which was amazing, by the way. So you guys will hear that replay here in just a quick second. So one other quick thing here that I wanted to do, besides say a big thank you again to Sam coming out to the conference. Seriously, one of my growing, good friends and good buddies. I really look up to this dude and hoping to network with him even more through the years and hopefully even give him another invite back to LAL 2024. A lot of you guys, like I said earlier, it was just a crowd favorite. But I really wanted to highlight what he's really teaching out there about growing the company and not just working and sitting on a lawnmower all day for some of you guys that are looking to scale, okay? You can get around him a lot more with the education, the information he's putting out. I think he's got a blog that he puts out, samgembel.com or something like that. It'll come up, and he's got a leadership newsletter that he puts out weeklies, I believe on Mondays. But last but not least, I'll say is we're going to try to lock Sam down for a Lawntrepreneur Academy link live stream. That's where we get a company owner that's doing 5 to 10 million plus once a month on our private Facebook group that we started about 3 months ago. 170 or so members, by the way, growing every single day. And the questions, the comments, the engagement, guys, it's second to none. And a lot of you guys that heard Mark Bradley, who was our special guest last month, said that that live stream was worth $5,000, $10,000, paid for your link membership. If you paid the annual, you save a little bit of money. It was worth that $300 to prepay, if you will. And again, it's $29 a month. It's an absolute steal to be able to plug in and hear all those different questions and answers and live streams, including all the replays. You get access to them day one. We don't drip it out to you. You get access to all of it day one. So just a quick note, not sure when you guys are listening to this podcast episode, but I would highly encourage you guys to evaluate joining link as we're going to lock Sam down. I already talked to him back and forth about it. He can't wait to join. So It should be here in the month of February, if not shortly thereafter in the month of March. But you guys, if you like what you hear from Sam on this replay, I'd highly encourage you to check out Link, because that's where he's going to be making his next guest appearance. That's the best way we can get access to him, where he is going to be serving our group on that live stream with 175, 200 plus people, which is going to be absolutely wild. So that being said, I'm going to kick it over to Marty, Mr. Producer. We're going to play this replay back. I might share one or two of the speeches from LAL 2024. The replay will be available here mid-month. It'll be about $75 probably for the replay. It's an absolute steal. Okay, the stuff that's presented there is worth thousands of dollars. I'm not even exaggerating. It's going to be really, really good stuff. So as soon as that replay comes online, you can get it at LawnTrepreneurAcademy.com. We'll let you guys know when it does go live. We'll drop a newsletter. We'll shoot emails, Instagram, text messages, carrier pigeons, and everything else that we can to let you guys know that replay is available. Okay. That being said, let's kick it over to the actual replay from Sam Gembel, owner of Atlas Outdoor, here from Lawntrepreneur Academy Live 2024. Let's check it out.
Well, as Brian mentioned there to kick us off, my name is Sam Gembel. I'm the owner and founder of Atlas Outdoor up in Flint, Michigan. Super excited. Before we kick things off, can we just give another round of applause to Brian and Liz and all the logistics that took place to make this thing happen? I know it's a ton of work, and somebody mentioned earlier about giving a plug to the spouses of the room. I can tell you guys, behind every successful landscape business owner is a supportive spouse. So I just want to add on to that again and give a round of applause to the spouses that are in the room that are making things happen today for us. So funny story. I called Brian on Thursday and I said, hey, Brian, I'm finalizing my talk, going over some notes. And I said, is there any specific thing that you want me to kind of touch on? I really didn't know who was going to be in the room today. And so Brian said, yeah, we've got some guys that are going to talk about leadership and things like of that nature. And for those of you that know me, I'm super passionate about leadership and all that entails. And I'm a firm believer in knowing the difference between leading versus managing, because I've been there before. And I literally had like my whole talk built talking about the difference between leading and managing. So Brian's like, yeah, I think there's going to be some guys that are going to touch on that today. So I literally rewrote my whole talk around that kind of conversation there. And I asked Brian, is there something that you think I should really hit on today? And he said, I think so many people in the room, they're working in their business day in and day out, and they're wondering why they're not getting traction, making changes. He goes, so man, if you could just talk about the journey from working in to working on and the difference that made for Atlas and for everybody that I've been honored and humbled to get to mentor. And so Brian told me, he said, Sam, I can only give you 3.5 hours to talk. So I said, all right, 3.5 hours, I got this. And then Mark Bradley took like 8 minutes of that. So literally we've only got about 3 hours and it's 20 minutes to get that going. So we'll get rocking and rolling. So first and foremost, just a quick little intro on myself here. Started my company back kind of very similar to the way some of you may have. It was a side hustle for me. Literally, I had a full-time job. And we had our first child, my wife, we had our first child in 2010. So I had a full-time job making about $60,000 a year. And then I cut grass on the side. So technically started my bank account for the business in like 2007, 2008. But really it was just a way to make extra money throughout the journey there. And 2010, my wife wanted to be a stay-at-home mom when we had our daughter. She was like the brains of the operation there. She was in our family. She was the U of M grad, go blue. And she wanted to be a stay-at-home wife with our daughter. I'm just this landscape guy. I'm like, all right, I work a full-time job. I've got these few lawn care customers. I could probably pick up a few lawn care customers and we can give this thing a go. And so she quits her job, stays home. We have, we got our daughter. 2011, I just felt the calling that, man, I couldn't keep doing both. I had a couple guys that had worked for me like in the evenings and weekends, and they were literally like working during the day while I would be at my full-time job, and then they would be, calling me. I'm trying to sell jobs for them, and I was really burning a candle on like four ends. And so I decided in June of 2011 to cut the safety net and quit my full-time job. I've talked to a few people here today, and when I'm, talking to them about where they're at in their journey, I can't believe how many of them said that, they have a full-time job. They're here just to kind of build their brand a little bit, but they're not all in on what it is that they're doing. And, I've asked them just a takeaway question. If you don't believe in your own vision, how are you going to ever get your employees to believe in your vision? So that's kind of a little nugget that's not in my takeaway points here. But if you are working a full-time gig and this is kind of a side thing for you, you're never going to get to the next level where you want to be. So June 2011, decided to go all in. I had myself and two other guys. Our first year in business, which wasn't essentially a full year, we landed the plane at about $300,000 in revenue that first year. And the second year, which was our first consecutive full year, we broke $1 million in revenue. And our first year in business being all in, it was myself and about 15 employees. And I literally thought at that point, like, I'm God's gift to entrepreneurs. To build a 7-figure business, like, this is it. I should go talk it on stages. And it went on. For the next 5 years, the business grew $1 million a year, till about $5 million, when I literally thought that I was going to crumble because we were making every mistake you can think of. I was managing a multi-million-dollar business, not leading it. I was working in a multi-million-dollar business, not on the business. And the mistakes that came from that were exponential. And we should have imploded, honestly. So I'm up here talking to you guys, and I know you might be thinking, like, working in, working on. It's easy for you to say you've got 105 employees and, you've got all these things lined up for you. But honestly, I'm here, guys, because I've been in your guys' shoes. I know what it's like to cut a paycheck on a Friday and there's no money in the bank. And I'm thinking, if I just give it to the guys at like 5:15, the banks are already going to be closed. So they'll have to cash it at a party store. So that'll catch us like an extra couple days. I know some of you guys are going, oh crap, I just did that like 2 weeks ago. I've been on that side. And I'll tell you, to be here today speaking at an event like this, in 2017, I took a few members of my team to Louisville to, how many of you know the GIE Expo? And we went there. And I went to check into the hotel and our credit card declined. And I looked over at my wife and she's like, what are we going to do? So I don't know, put it on our personal credit card. We never told our employees that we did that. But literally like that time in Louisville was pretty much that was kind of our last resort. And there might be somebody here today that literally you guys spent your last couple $100s to be in this room, or, maybe your last few $100s, and you're just hoping that this could be your saving grace for your business. And I'm hoping that we can send y'all home with a few nuggets just to help with that. So I'm going to get right to the point here. We're going to get rocking and rolling. I literally have a few minutes to run through 12 and a half years of mistakes and things that went well, things that didn't go well. And I hope to send you guys off with a couple key nuggets there. So just so I can kind of understand the room a little bit, how many of you are like mostly lawn business owners? A lot of lawn guys. What about landscape? Got it. Okay. And then blended? Yes, pretty much everybody. Okay. How many of you guys today are wearing the same draws that y'all had on yesterday? Don't lie. We got a few honest people in the room. We got a few liars in the room. Okay, got it. Cool, we're on the same, we got to know each other a little bit here. We're not judging. Same Planet Fitness. It's like Planet Fitness, judgment-free zone. How many of you, if I were to ask you guys that good employees are like impossible to find, you would say, yep, they don't exist? Come on, you guys got to be honest with that. There's like 4 hands. Seriously? All right, thank you. That's what I wanted to see there. If I were to ask you, and you see these people on social media, I try to stay out of those groups that people get in with the complaints about the, just ranting and raving about nobody wants to work, can't get guys to do this. And, my question that I have for y'all is, what if people just don't want to work for you guys? Ooh. So that said, you guys didn't realize you're going to have to do this today, but you're actually going to have to read something off the screen. I know y'all didn't think that was going to happen today, but you're going to have to read a little bit. So I'd like for us to read this out loud if we could. Everybody, I would rather Sam speak to me what is true as opposed to telling me what I want to hear. You guys copy that? All right, we're going to do it one more time for those in the back that may have not been able to read it. I would rather Sam speak to me what is true as opposed to him telling me what I want to hear. All right, so there's cameras all around here. Brian is in here somewhere. You guys have just given me full permission to tell you guys about yourselves. And just a little spoiler alert. This isn't going to be a rah talk. I know Brian tried to get Tony Robbins to do this, but he was busy. So this is going to be more just serious to the point, some things that I know have worked for me, and I know that they'll work for you. So there can't be no emails going to Brian and Liz after this is all done saying, Sam was mean to me. He said stuff that I just didn't know that doesn't apply to me. No. So we're going to get rolling here. First and foremost, we're going to talk about the 80-15-5 principle. How many of you have maybe heard this reference when it comes to something? I have literally became obsessed with the 80-15-5 principle. For me personally, the 80-15-5 principle the 80-15-5 principle in my business is that I've kind of learned that like 80% of employees do just enough to not get fired. No joke. It's a true statement. It's a sad truth. 15% of employees do just a little bit above bar. Those are the guys like they show up on time. I heard somebody like give a point earlier about showing up on time and like that's legit a superpower nowadays. And then 5% are truly the people in your business that want more out of life. They're your pioneers of growth. They're the guys that want it. The flip to that is that we spend 80% of our time pouring into the 80% that really could give a shit less about the stuff we're trying to pour into them. So what if we flipped it and we poured 80% of our energy into the 5% of the people that actually want more out of life? The problem is the 80% is just a lot louder. But I'm going to get a little deeper with this whole 80% principle here. 80% of you guys in this room are going to listen to all these talks today. Some of y'all wrote down some notes, but literally you're going to go back to your business Monday and you're going to do the same crap that you did prior to coming here. You're going to complain and moan that nobody wants to work. There's not enough hours in the day. There's no way you're going to get your fall cleanups done. All snow's coming. You're not even ready for it. 15% of you are actually going to write down some notes. You're actually going to do something about it. You're going to be like, yeah, I heard that. This was good. But as soon as stuff starts to get a little bit uncomfortable, you're going to go right back. You're not going to stay the course. You're not going to stick with it. Here's the hard truth. 5% of you guys are actually going to take the principles, the nuggets, the unbelievable amount of wisdom that's been instilled in you guys today. 5% of you are going to take that back into your business and actually do something about it. Here's the sad truth with that. And I went to Flint School, so like my math's not that good. 5%, this room, there's about 400 people in here. So the truth to that is about 20 people of 400 that are actually going to take this and do something with it. To bring that back a little bit deeper, that means that not everybody at your table are actually going to go back and change. So why spend the money? Why put in the efforts? Why come here and do stuff like this and take notes if you truly don't want to go back and change? So I told you guys I wasn't going to tell you guys anything too friendly here today. So why do people start a landscape business? Let's get down and dirty here. Why? We are a very much instant gratification society. Like we like to see results quick. I know for me, when I started cutting grass, I loved that literally as soon as I got done with my double cut, I could be like, damn, that looks good. I could take pictures of it, and I loved it. And I was super passionate about what I was doing. Same thing with you hardscapers, you landscapers. It legit, like, it's kind of a pretty easy business to get going. Like, for real. Like, I'm not trying to, like, sit up here and be like, you know, this is a hard thing. I'm an entrepreneur. It really is actually a pretty easy business to get started. But the thing is, It is a hard business to scale and actually make it off the truck. Actually make it to the point where you can work on your business, not in your business. And here's a little bit of a truth this is a hard truth that I know about this industry because I talk to landscape business owners from all over North America. There is less and less younger landscape business owners coming into the industry. It's true. Y'all might think they're everywhere. They're actually not. Like, I am so pumped up. I talked to a business owner earlier today here that's 15 years old, y'all. I don't know where he's at, but like, mad props to the 15-year-old kid that I was talking to that he can't wait to fire his dad as soon as he gets his driver's license. Like, that's epic. That is epic. But here's the harsh truth to that whole younger generation being kind of a dying breed getting into it is that the 1,000-pound gorillas in this industry, like, they just keep getting bigger. They just keep buying up all the companies. So what does that tell you about what you guys are doing and what you're trying to create here? Like, y'all have an opportunity to create something, and everybody wants to sit there and, point fingers or blame like the big dogs are ruining the industry. Like, they are going to eventually own the industry. You're legit either going to be a mid-level company with at least, 15, 20 employees, $1 million in revenue, hopefully, $100,000. If you know your numbers, talking to Mark or synced up here, you can learn what you can pay and all that good stuff. You're either going to get to that point or legit, you are going to be the same dude at like 70 years old, much love if you're over 70 and you're in the landscape world, literally bitching the same crap. I never wanted no employees. Nope, it's me, myself, and I. How's your marriage? Shitty. How's your kids? They hate me. Like, and then you go on Facebook, you rant and rave, and then you die, and then somebody else takes over that. True statement there. I didn't even know I was going to go there, but we're going to bring it. It just describes so many people that you guys know. So we start cutting grass, we go out and we mow some stripes in our lawn or in the lawns, and this customer refers us to another person. Before we know it, we've got like 20, 30, 40 clients, and we're like, I'm a business owner. I'm an entrepreneur. This is so great. My customers love me. They keep on referring me to more people. Oh my gosh, I'm growing. I can't keep up. This is crazy. Like, there's not enough hours in the day. Bam, I need to hire somebody. Oh, I got to hire my first employee. He gets a lawnmower stuck. Is this how I do it, boss? So we get to that point and we're like, all right, I got my first guy. Now I'm no longer just a technician. I'm actually an employer. And it gets harder and it gets harder. Maybe you hire a third guy. Maybe you hire a fourth guy, whatever the case is. But as you begin to grow and you add a second crew or whatever it is that you do in your scaling and you realize, like, I'm supposed to make more money in this. Why am I making less money? Something just doesn't make sense. So what do? You start firing people, you let them go. You're like, you know what? I'm just going to be myself, me, myself, and I. And then we already know where that lands you. We talked about that a few minutes ago. So you get all these friends and they talk about normal people and what they do and how they got a job. They work at like Chrysler or GM or wherever they work at. And they sleep good at night. They get up in the morning and they go to work and they just rinse, wash, repeat, right? But then there's these guys called landscape company owners. They're laying in bed and they go, man, how does Brian find time to make all those videos? Like, I thought he's like an entrepreneur. Where does he like get all this time at? When was the last time I changed the oil in my truck? I haven't done that in a while. I probably need to get my oil changed. Should I mow diamonds or checkerboards tomorrow? I don't know. They both sound pretty darn cool. I'm not sure what I should do. Did I remember to put the blades back on my mower? This keeps some of you guys up at night. I hope my new whip guy shows up tomorrow. How many of y'all like literally laid in bed and thought about that? I'm pretty sure that John smelled like whiskey when he showed up this morning. But I'm pretty sure that was his cologne. We tell ourselves that, we convince ourselves that, no, he would never do that to us, right? John would never drink whiskey before he came into work. No, not John. I love John. Or maybe you lay up in bed at night and your thoughts are a little bit deeper. You think things like, well, as long as I have enough money to pay my bills, I don't really need to make any more than that. Take a vacation. What's that? Rain days are my vacation. Yeah, we can go hang out at the Coney Island and, talk about how good things can be. We think things like, nobody will ever do as good a job as I do. I am never hiring employees. I tried that once, and it was the worst thing I ever did. I got this. I wish I could clone myself. How many of you have thought you wish you could clone yourself? Or we'll go a little bit deeper. I don't really need to make my kid's soccer game tomorrow. He'll understand. Dad's got to work. Or how about this one? It's normal in culture today to not eat dinner as a family. My kids understand that I got to provide for the household. So a little story about me and my wife. So I had mentioned that she had became a stay-at-home mom. When I was first getting the journey going, and she's home with the kids, and I had mentioned, the supportive wife thing. It really hits home to me because it's a true statement. Like, my wife believed in the journey probably more than I did at first. She would send me, pictures throughout the day of our little girl, Isabella, who's 13 now. But she would send me videos of our daughter, like, crawling on the floor, and she's like, Dada. And it's crazy. Facebook keeps showing me these like reminder videos. And a lot of them were my daughter, like holding her phone up to her ear. And she's like imitating daddy when she was a baby. And I'm like, that's legit what my kids think about me, And it hit hard. And so one day, the one that hit the hardest to me was our daughter was right around a year old. And I don't remember exactly what the date was with it. But I was riding my lawnmower. I was at Glengarry Park Apartments in Waterford, Michigan, for you Michigan people. It was one of my first like commercial accounts that I managed to get. And I'm riding my lawnmower, and my wife had sent me a video of our daughter, taking her first steps. And literally in that same context, I had 9 missed calls on my phone. And I said, man, what if those 9 calls were like opportunities that I could have sold and picked up more work? But I'm so busy. I was literally working like 100 hours a week, doing everything, right? Doing everything. And I literally thought to myself right there that this is not what being a business owner is all about. And it was that first moment, not quite a year into the journey, where I thought, man, Home Depot don't sound that bad right now. Those guys get out at like 5. They could be with their kids. And but I loved what I did. And it was that addiction to the industry, the addiction to the smell of fresh cut grass that just kept me wanting to keep going at it. And I had just a few guys that believed in the journey with me. And but it was legit that day that I said, I have to switch this up. But then I'm like, what do? I can't even pay myself right now. How can I afford to hire a guy to replace me if I can't even pay myself as it is? And so the entrepreneurial journey began at that point. And you're going to hear me talk a lot about the 80-20 rule, because in the 80-20 rule, it references a lot about what you should be doing with 80% of your time and what you should be doing with 20% of your time. And what I want you guys to understand is, if you're in bondage to your business, right? There's only so many hours in a day. There's only so much you can do. And you're trying to use your business as a tool, as a platform to provide for your family, which I'm sure most of you are doing. What happens if something happens to you? What happens if you break your leg? What happens if you get, hit by a bus? Like, God forbid, but that legit can happen. And so I'm thinking to myself, like, how do I build this? How do I get myself off of the truck to get to work in my business? And, I realized there's only one person, there's only so much room to go around. And so I said, you know what? Let's go. We're going to do it. So with that said, I promised Brian, I'm like, dude, I said, I'm going to send you home. I'll send our people home with 3 things. I'm like, how the heck do you break down 3 working in versus working on bullet points? Because I could have had like 100, but I'm like, no. I want this to be the next right thing. Not something that you got to be a better leader. You're damn right you need to be a better leader. But that's not tangible. How can you work on that? So the things I'm going to share, I want you guys to start doing them Monday. So, you guys ready to get uncomfortable? Yeah, let's do it. Let's get uncomfortable here. Number 1, take notes for y'all taking notes. Whatever your primary revenue source is, whatever it is, you have to commit that you're no longer going to do it. If you're a lawn guy, you're no longer allowed to cut grass. If you're a brick guy, you're no longer allowed to put brick in the ground. If you're a fertilizer guy, You're no longer allowed to run the truck. And I know you're thinking, you're like, how? I said you got to start Monday. Whoo! How do I do that Monday? I got clients to service. Yes, you do. You got to make money. But you're going to take that time that you're not cutting grass, you're not putting pavers in the ground. You're going to take that time and you're going to put every flipping piece of effort you had into empowering somebody else to take over that role for you, whatever that is. But then you're like, but what about all the other services? Here's what's cool. Here's a little extra spinoff. And I didn't make a slide for this because I thought I would just explain it. You're not going to be able to sell that much work that quick to keep your 1 or 2 crews busy. Like legit, if you go full-time selling, you're going to oversell the crews and you're going to have to buy trucks. And if you don't have good software to let you know if you can afford it, what I'll tell you will implode your business. So you can't do that. So you got to have an 80-20 principle. Remember I said we're going to talk about 80-20? So 80% of the time that you now have open, you are going to work on your business. You're going to sell. You're going to train your guys. You're going to do that. What's going to happen with the other 20%? You're going to still make money. So let me explain to you how I did it at first. I went from being a $14 an hour mowing guy to being $150 to $200 an hour fertilizer guy. Because I only had about 15 hours a week worth of fertilizer to throw. I didn't have enough work to do that full time. So what you're doing right now in your business, if you have these extra services, y'all just throw it on like every 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you go do it for a day, then you jump back on your mower and you go mow. So you're no longer allowed to do whatever your primary revenue source is. If you're wondering, you're scratching your head, how do I know what's a primary revenue source in my business? What does that look like? If there is 30 to 35 hours of something per week that you do, that is a primary revenue source. If you only do it 10, 15, 20 hours a week, it's a secondary revenue source. So congratulations, you just promoted yourself to no longer have to do the 30 to 35 hour business anymore. Now, fertilizer, $125, $150 an hour, $200 an hour. And I also did our irrigation service, because the cool thing about irrigation service, I only had like a few clients to do. So it went from being Sam valuing myself at about $150 a day to actually doing a couple grand a day, which wasn't half bad because I wasn't paying anybody to do that job anymore. When it got up to being about 15 hours per thing, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm doing it again. I don't have enough time to sell. I don't have enough time to train. I said, I'm going to hire a guy and he's going to be a split fertilizer and irrigation guy. Crazy hybrid role. Who would have thought? Just because don't overthink it. If somebody can do something half of the week, then do something the other half of the week, make that a primary job. So whatever it is, this is your commitment. Literally, whatever is your primary source of your business, I want y'all to sing Frozen and let it go, let it go. Don't hold. Man, nobody knew that. Sorry, guys. I'll stick with my day job there. But just remember that the value that can come from that, the 80-20 rule applies. 80% of your time, you're working on your business, 20%. And what's going to happen is you're going to start bridging that gap between the in and the on. And so many of you that are here, literally, you are the only guy. How many of you guys are a sole guy? No employees. There are a lot. Holy crap, only. I didn't even put this in my notes because I was at least thinking maybe y'all had like 5 employees, 6 employees. This is awesome. No. This isn't even in the notes. Your job for Monday is you have to hire a guy. If you don't have enough work for the guy, you have to hire him. Actually, you have to hire 2 because one of them's going to call in like every other day, give you the excuse. So you have to hire 2 people. So like you're legit freaking out because you're thinking you can't even afford to pay one person. And here Sam's going to sit up here and tell y'all you need to hire 2 or 3. No excuses to move on from there. And if somebody's sitting here today and you've got 3 or 4 or 5 employees and you're like, man, all right, well, what's my next right move? One of those guys needs to be your number 2. One of those guys needs to be your number 2. And I didn't put that in a bullet point because I legit only have 3.5 hours to get through this. So I didn't want to make that a bullet point. But if you can't think of your number 2 within 10 seconds of me saying that to you, he does not work for you. He doesn't work for you. Start hiring some new people and get moving. Was that good? Bullet point number 1? You're giving it up? All right, we're going to move on here. Keep on moving. Bullet point number 2. Y'all are going to create a daily to-don't list. What the hell is a to-don't list? It's exactly what it sounds like. It's what you are not going to do anymore in your business. I didn't say that this was going to be easy stuff today. I did not say it was going to be easy. So when you wake up in the morning, we do the thing. I'm a checklist guy. I love like checking stuff off a list every day. But imagine if you had to make a list where you said, today, I'm not going to do something. There was this unwritten rule when Atlas was new. I couldn't like put this in my interview process, or I probably never would have found anybody. But in order to work for me, you had to be mechanically inclined. Why do you guys think that was? I couldn't afford like a mechanic to like sharpen blades and change oils and do all that. So I needed people. You needed to be able to cut grass, but you also needed to be able to fix shit if it broke. So it was like an unwritten thing, but like you would get done with your day, come back to the shop, and then you would work on stuff, fix it, sharpen your blades. Humbly said, this is probably like the most braggadocious thing that I've ever said. It's gonna feel good. I think I've sharpened blades like 5 times my whole career as a lawn care business owner. Like, that's bragging to me. I love that. I say that because my time I knew was gonna be worth more than that. So with that daily to don't list, I'm like, you know what? I am not going to be able to go out and cut grass anymore. So the daily to don't list, whatever that looks like, maybe you're like, we've already said you're not allowed to mow anymore, so that better be on your list. I'm not going to mow today. And I know this is hard. I didn't say it was going to be easy. Baby steps, maybe it's the 80-20 rule applies to you. But whatever your daily to don't list is whatever you don't want to do. I waited way too long to hire somebody to answer the phone. I cannot believe my original 877 lawn used to be my cell phone. I thought it was so cool that AT&T gave me like a personalized number. And what I realized is as I was scaling the business that number was gonna be all over our trailers, and people were calling me at like 11 o'clock at night wanting a job, and that sucks. So I had to give up my cell phone number to get a new number, but I waited way too long to just hire somebody to answer the phone. And so I added that to my to-don't list. I'm not gonna answer the phone anymore. Eventually, the voicemail gets full because you can't be the crutch to get yourself to go back in. So remember that as part of your to-don't list, you cannot go back. Once you have outgrown a responsibility in your business, whatever that is, cutting grass, putting down pavers, sharpening blades, changing oils, answering the phone, whatever it is, you are not allowed to take that responsibility back. It cannot exist. You've outgrown it. It's the same thing when we promote somebody. This wasn't part of my plan here, but when we promote somebody, if they suck at whatever you promoted them to, you can't demote them back down to the last position or they're going to be toxic. At that point, you now have to promote them to another company. And that is a hard thing to have to do. Been there before. All right. But last but not least, the last bullet point. Y'all ready? So far, you guys got 2. Is that good? All right. Oh, man. This last one is like, I don't even know if I should share this, Brian, but you guys said you won't be pissed at me. It's perfect. You guys got to pay yourself first. What does pay yourself first mean? I cannot believe how many of you take all the risk, you take credit on, you buy these expensive trucks, we pay our employees because we have to. I'm not saying hemorrhage your business, but what I'm saying is that you have to pay yourself first, and that's a paycheck. Paying yourself first is not the $1,000 cash that you just got for throwing some mulch in somebody's yard. That's not paying yourself first. That doesn't count. Somebody just got uncomfortable. I could like feel it when I said that. I can see your butts like squirming in the seat like, he ain't talking to me. Nope, he ain't talking to me. But paying yourself first. And I say that because if eventually you're going to replace yourself and you're building your budget for your business, you're building this is what my crew leads make, this is what my office is going to make. You're building a budget, you get some software and you're going through all that. The problem is, I've looked at so many business owners' profit and loss statements of like, $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 companies, $1 million companies, $100 million companies that I've been blessed to let me ride on their shoulders as I grow my journey. And they'll have like $100,000 in net profit. I'm like, wow, that's awesome. Like, so where's your pay at on your profit and loss statement? And they're like, I don't pay myself. I can't pay myself. I run my internet bill through the business, or I pay my wife's vehicle on the books, or I pay for my kids' school or my vacations through my business. And I ain't the IRS. I ain't trying to say none of that stuff is applicable. Do what you got to do. But you got to pay yourself on a paycheck. And the reason that is so important is because you can't know if you can replace yourself if you don't know what you can afford. So if you're paying yourself on a profit and loss, you can see owner's salary, owner's whatever it is. And you got to know the difference between like a distribution that's not on a profit and loss. That's a whole nother conversation. You got to pay yourself on a profit and loss statement so that you can understand what you can afford and who you can hire to take you to the next level. So how many of you will agree with that you promise? Because you said, I'd rather Sam tell you the truth here, that you're going to go back, you're going to no longer, at least admit you're going to try. Because what we don't want is next year to come back here and you're in the same exact spot you were this year if you don't put these applications in place. First one, whatever your primary business is, you're no longer allowed to do it. Let it go, let it go, let it go. You're going to create a daily to-don't list. Not doing that no more. Whatever that looks like in 3 years, you're just going to pay yourself. Whatever's a fair salary for whatever role you're doing. If you are a sales guy, like salespeople, just so y'all know, in the business world where you have salespeople that get paid on a commission basis, they make about 10% of what their sales number is. So if you're a $500,000 business per se, just you being the sales guy, you should be making 50 grand. If you're also the person that is answering the phone because you haven't taken that off the to-don't list, a good secretary, I mean, what do they make? Like 20 grand, 25 grand a year? That's 75 grand. So think of these things that if you want to replace yourself off that, you don't know if you can afford that if that number is not already on your profit and loss statement. So you got to pay yourself. Why are these things going to be difficult for some of us to grasp? Why are some of these things going to be hard for you to take in? It's because the hardest person to lead is ourselves. They say at the gym, the heaviest weight at the gym is the door, because you just got to get in. And it's the same thing for us in business. It's actually easier when you know you've got to get out of bed and go manage and lead employees, because you have an extrinsic factor that is your driving force to be able to do that. So it's actually easier to lead others than it is to lead ourselves. So you have to commit. You have to do what you say you're going to do. In your business, you can have trust or you can have control. You can't have both. People are going to screw up, man. People are going to make a mess at a lawn. They're going to blow grass in the bed. You're going to be mad about it. You're going to get complaints from lawns that you used to mow, and they're like, it's not as good as when you used to do it, John. I know, but you know what? I'm trying to work on my business. So you can't have both. You got to let it go. So you can either hold it all in or let it go. You can make progress or you can make excuses, but you can't make both. Does anybody understand what that means? I hope you guys do. Let it go. Let it go. I remember I was driving my way into our office. This is, a couple years into the journey. We were renting this little shop. And I'm driving down a road, and I saw one of our trucks mowing a subdivision entrance. And I'm like, it's not one of our accounts. The hell, they're doing a side job. Got them. So I hurried up and busted a U-turn. I'm like, I'm about to get these guys, right? So I go back, I bust a U-turn, and I come back around, and I go up to the foreman. I'm like, what you doing? And he's pumped, right? Like, I'm like, this dude is legit happy as hell, and like, he's mowing a side job. Like, you just got caught. Like, damn, our business is messed up. I'm like, what are you cutting? And he's like, I've been mowing this all season this year. I'm like, you've been mowing it all season? I know every account. I know every single job we do. How did you get this? Whoa. And he goes, yeah, I don't know. So I call the office, and I'm talking to my right-hand guy and said, dude, I just caught the crew side. We got to fire these guys. He goes, that's not a side job. He goes, I sold that in the springtime. I'm like, you sold that you sold the job? He goes, yeah, I've sold like 50 residentials. Where have you been? And I'm like, no shit, I got a sales guy and I didn't even realize it. It was pretty awesome. And so I realized, like, I'm the only guy that should be selling. That's not true. And it was literally probably one of the first moments when I realized, like, I can actually make a scalable business out of this thing. You got to let stuff go. So many people, when I'm talking to them, they say, Sam, what if? What if I train my guy like the best of the best? I train him. He's going to be the best mower. He's going to lay the best pavers. Nobody can plow snow as good as I do. I'm going to train John how to do that. What happens if I do all that and like Troy Clogg steals them from me? Oh, it's devastating. What would happen? That's true. That would suck, right? Like you go through all that work, you train them up. But I got a little bit of a better question. What if you don't train them and then they decide to stay working for you? I didn't say it was going to be a friendly conversation today, and you guys all agreed that I'm not going to get in trouble today. I love that. That was fun putting that slide together. If you Google flip, by the way, this is not my skid or my lawnmower. If you Google like crazy lawnmower pictures, there's some crazy stuff that you'll find that'll come up from that. What I don't want you guys to do is leave this conference today and feel like what I'm doing is failing. What I'm doing is not working. You know, I've been trying and trying and trying. That's not the point of what this whole message is. And one of the things that I know is that if you're one of the people that when guys like myself or people like Mark or people that have grown organizations, we start talking to them and people start to get defensive about training people. They start to get defensive about the way they pay people or, man, I need to get a 401k in place. I got to get benefits in place. Y'all, we had like 75 employees and we didn't have any of that stuff. People just believed in what it was that we were doing. And so I don't want that to be like an analysis paralysis to keep you from doing what's next. One of the things I've learned though is the areas where we're the most defensive, that's probably the areas we need to work on first. So just remember that. If you throw a stone into a pack of dogs, the only one that barks is the one that gets hit. And I know that there's some of you guys that are in the room today that some of these talks are really hitting you guys. So what I don't want you guys to do, I don't want you guys going back to your business thinking like, I need to change. I gotta get back to the way things used to be. I need to change. I can't have you guys going back feeling bad for yourself. I can't have you guys going back feeling like you're failing. Because if you do, I know for me and in my family and in our business, anytime that I feel like I'm failing, and there's been countless times where I felt like I was failing, those times when credit card didn't work and didn't have money for payroll, it's really, really hard to lead. And so when that happens, we end up just resorting right back to what we know, what we're comfortable, and that's just jumping back and working in the business. But you have to remember there's a reason that the rearview mirror is smaller than the windshield. Reflect. What went bad? Learn from it and move the hell on. Tomorrow's a new day. And so whatever it is that you're doing, whatever your business is, whatever it is that your model is, don't go thinking like, I need to grow because I want to be like Sam or I want to be like Brian or whatever it is, whoever it is that you look up to. Never compare your why to somebody else's why. If you're happy with where you're at, congratulations. There's nothing wrong with that. You can still make a great living owning a small landscape company. But if you truly feel like you're called to be something bigger and you don't want to be in bondage to your company anymore, then you have to start taking the steps to working on your business and get away from working in your business. So that said, I got a little QR code up there. I love talking and adding value to everybody that I can. And that QR code, it just links you to, I had a website built, that's samgembel.com. It's like the most humbling thing ever to have like your name on a domain. But there's a connect with me on there. I would love to hear from you guys. I love to add value. I love doing one-on-one stuff. But when Brian gave me the opportunity to have a microphone and speak to 400 people, that's multiplication value. And I will take every opportunity that I can to do that. So that said, make sure you guys connect with me. I'd love to hear from you, and thank you guys for growing with me.
The off-season is not a time for hibernation, but an opportunity for strategic planning and productivity. By setting clear goals, optimizing operations, investing in your team, enhancing back-end processes, and joining a supportive community, you can lay the groundwork for a successful and profitable 2024 season. With a Lawntrepreneur Academy Link membership, you can actually engage with other industry professionals, access valuable resources, and even find mentors who can provide fresh perspectives and ideas for your business. Learning from others' experiences is a powerful way to navigate challenges and foster growth. Get started today with your Link membership at LawnTrepreneurAcademy.com or use the link in the podcast description.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast with Brian Fullerton. We hope you enjoyed this production. If so, please consider leaving us a 5-star review for the show. While the techniques and ideas presented here are designed to help you grow a more successful and profitable business, no one can guarantee these results for you. We want to emphasize that entrepreneurship is not easy, and the ideas presented here are just the opinions of Brian Fullerton and his respective guests. No one can guarantee success for you. That being said, we hope the ideas presented here help you and motivate you to go on out there and crush it with your own business.
Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast.
Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode.
This has been a Brian Fullerton and Mr. Producer production.